so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the P-heads themselves. I am your P-head enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's P-Head Posse episode, our guest is Positive Head listener Joell Jacob. Joell is a lifelong learner, conscious creator, intuitive inspirer, and diversified artist. She is a voiceover actor, media makeup artist, singer, songwriter, stained glass artist, painter, and author of the book Happy: How to Manage Depression and Anxiety Without Big Pharma. Hi, Joell. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. I'm like I was mentioning before in this intro, there's like several things I'm like really interested in. So I'm excited to have this conversation. But before we get into all that stuff, why don't you tell us a bit about your background and about what your journey's been like up until this point?
Oh boy.
It's a broad question. You can go any way you want with it.
Yeah. Well, when I think about Positive Head, I came to Positive Head because as soon as I got an iPhone, I started to download podcasts. And of course, when I always like to have positive podcasts and podcasts that I could learn from. So Positive Head has been great for my spirituality and my growth and helping me get my daily dose of positivity and just like those little lessons that I could just listen to every day and help me feel connected, because you can feel like you're in a bubble, especially with the stuff that's talked about on Positive Head. Not everybody is open to those sorts of thoughts and beliefs. So having that connectivity with Positive Head and the P heads is, important for my growth and spirituality. So I appreciate that. Although I did grow up with a lot of spirituality. My grandmother was clairvoyant, and she raised me. So I grew up with knowing that there was always something else. There was this other power, that we had power, and that there were messages out there and gifts out there for us to connect with.
Oh, wow. What was that like? Was that, you said your grandmother, is that correct?
Yeah, my grandmother on my mother's side, who raised me. She raised me and my sister. So, yeah.
Did you grow up, were you intuitive growing up as well, or?
I think so. I think I still am. I did have a little bit of fear about it, though, because my grandmother always seemed to see the things of warning. So she always saw kind of the bad stuff, and they did come true. So at one point in my life, I was about 15. I think I blocked her the last time that she would either see things or she would read palms. And she told me some scary stuff when I was 15 that did come true when I was 18. And when she told me that scary stuff, I'm like, you know what? I think I just kind of blocked my, I think I was trying to protect myself, and I may have blocked my crown chakra, or from that. So I think for a while I was not so connected. But yeah. But she was a lovely, loving woman. Everything that she did was about love and just trying to protect people. But it was interesting to grow up with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of people that we have on the show, it's quite the opposite. It's like, oh, I was, had, crazy kind of disconnected childhoods, and then all of a sudden had this like crazy awakening when they were older and realized, that there was more. So it is interesting. It is interesting to talk to people who just really grew up with it, and it was kind of like a normal thing. That's really, how do you think it influenced you? Like having, that knowledge that there was always more, like, how do you think that influenced you as a person?
I think that it kept me open. I think that the idea of learning and being open to discover all the things that the world and the universe has to offer, I'm open to all of that. So I think that that's it was really good for me. But like I said, I was also scared of it in a way. So I think that could have contributed a little bit to some of my anxiety or just not knowing, because I grew up in what, I don't know, a haunted house, say, so my aunts and uncles, it was a 3-tenement house, and my mother, my aunts and uncles, non-believer friends, boyfriends, different people had experiences in that house. And when you think about that now, some people will say, oh, there's no such thing as bad spirits, and other people like, oh, no, there are. And so just a lot of interesting and creepy, crazy stuff happened in that house. So, trying to navigate all that, it's the house you live in. It's not like I can just escape. I'm a kid.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It left me open, but I also feel like I was protecting myself a lot.
Definitely.
So, a balance. But.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I guess, it's it's the same kind of sort of, there's positive and negative wherever you go, whatever type of experience you had. So, that's interesting. Yeah. I have another podcast. My podcast co-host is actually, she's a Positive Head listener, and she has been clairvoyant and clairaudient since she was like 5, but spent the majority of her life terrified of seeing and hearing. So it is interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting how, like, because I think some of us have this idea like, oh, if I could just see and hear, if I could just like get the answers, then it would just be great. And it's like, well, maybe, or maybe it would be, maybe it would be a little overwhelming. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, so why don't we tell us more about all of these, things that you work on. You're a voiceover actor, singer, songwriter, makeup artist, just artist in general. And then in the book, which one of these things do you feel most alive about, or do you feel like you want to share about? Because I think it's all very interesting.
I think what I feel most alive about now is probably my artwork, because I'm diving into it again. So it's new and exciting for me, even though I've always kind of been an artist. I've always done creative works. But I am super grateful for my voiceover work, because that's what I do most of the time. I narrate audiobooks is what I mostly do. And then I do commercials and, corporate video stuff and info, any of those explainer videos and that sort of thing. So I'm super grateful for that. And I love reading the books. I get to have words and act out all these characters. And the makeup artist stuff I've just been doing my whole life. And I'm grateful for that work too, but it's not something that I'm super passionate about. But when I'm there, I enjoy it because I'm helping people look good for camera or whatever, and I'm learning things, and it actually gets me out of my house because I'm super introverted, and so like that job gets me out and being around people. So I'm appreciative of that. But the stained glass work, I'm starting to do that again, and then just creating products out of that. And I'm just learning about. I just started doing Instagram and the different platforms where you can sell your art and that sort of thing. So that's all new and exciting for me. And I love working with color. I love working with glass. I love, painting again. So I'm excited about that. And the singing and the songwriting, music, I love it. I've been in a bunch of bands, and right now, I don't have a lot of need to go out and perform live like I used to. I used to be really need that. And now I still love music and I love the idea, but it's just not right in the forefront anymore. So it's like these ebbs and flows, and I just kind of go with it, and honoring that and understanding that and knowing that, I think, is what keeps me going and keeping me happy. And the book, I didn't even plan on that, but I'm super excited to have that out there in the world.
Yeah, tell us about the book, because I think it's definitely a hot topic right now, especially within this group, how to manage depression and anxiety without Big Pharma. It's huge. Yeah.
So a shaman I know, she's a friend of mine, she taught me Reiki. So I'm a level 2 Reiki practitioner, even though I only do it on my dogs and my husband. So she called me up one day and said, "Hey, what you going on? I haven't talked to you in a while." I'm like, "Oh, life is great." And she's like, I said, "What's going on with you?" And she said, "I have this program where I'm coaching people to speak up and tell their truth and then make a book out of it." Well, being the creative sort, I was like, "Oh, I want to write a book. I've always wanted to write a book. Maybe this is the way I'll write my book." But I thought I was going to write a book about being a makeup artist or, being a creative and help other people be a diversified artist like me or a creative person and make a living out of it. Well, lo and behold, what came out on paper was this whole story about my truth of living with depression and anxiety my entire life. And by this time, life was good. So I had come up with a lot of solutions for that for myself. And so it ended up in this book that she helped me edit and kept me going, because during the process, it was petrifying, because I said, I can't believe I'm putting all these words down, and this is going to be a book, and it's going to get out there, and it's, my friends and my family and everybody's going to read this, and they're going to know my deep, dark secret of being depressed, because I never showed that to anybody. Never, people, I didn't put that out in the world. I wanted to be a good citizen, just do the right thing and work and not be a problem, not be a burden. I didn't want to burden anybody with my issues. So she helped me along. There are coaching sessions where I'm crying my eyes out. Can't put this out there. She's like, "You don't have to put it out there. You don't have to, just write it all down." So it was very healing for me, just doing the process of writing the book and then actually putting the book out there. Yeah. It's amazing that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, because I think it really could help a lot of people. If it's just me sharing my story so that other people, if they find it, if it's, they find some connection in it, then they're not alone. And they may learn one thing out of this whole book that helps them, then it's worth it. So when I hit that button, I'm like, all right, well, it's done now, And then I started sharing it with people, and a bunch of my friends read it, and people that I don't know have read it, and they've, given me some nice, connected with me and told me how much it's helped them. And it's just like, wow, that is a gift to the world that I was able to give. And, that is just amazing right there. Yeah. So, I have a ton of different things that I talk about in the book that, I had tried pharmaceuticals. They worked for me, but they didn't really work. Something that I wasn't going to stay on for the rest of my life. It just wasn't going to work for me. Because it dulled my intuition. It dulled my creativity. It dulled my emotions.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to live like that. So the solutions I found were through the help of a naturopath and doctor, which are, they are licensed doctors. And then also just doing all this, Google was my friend. Searching out there, finding podcasts like Positive Head, finding other information about, meditation or just anything that I could find where I thought it could help me. I was like, all right, I'm open to that. Let me go try that. Okay, I'm open to that. Let me go try that. Oh, that doesn't really work for me, but this is really working for me. So I think that's the biggest message is, figuring out what may work for you individually, because we're all different. Things that work for me aren't going to work for other people. But being open to that and loving yourself, forgiving yourself enough to take that one step,
Yeah. It is, all journeys really just start with one step. And I feel like that's a lot of the time the reason people kind of fall into these, pits, so to speak, is like, because it just seems so overwhelming to get out, it just seems so overwhelming to it feels like you've gone so far from where you want to be. And it feels like this huge crevasse or space, but really it does just kind of start with one step. And I think that's an amazing message to put out. And also what you're saying, it's some people, what works for one doesn't work for all. And I think it is a really important message to get out there for everyone to know that it's you can get advice from a million people and you can get ideas from people, but we're all on our own journey. So it's what absolutely worked for someone might kind of work for you. And like you said, there's so many different things out there right now that can help and have a positive influence. So I know you kind of already started sharing, but is there is there something else from the book, an idea from the book that you want to share? Just what people, if someone is listening right now and going through anxiety or depression, is there something in the book that you'd like to share?
Well, I think what just came up was that, and I do share it in the book, was that I was having serious suicidal thoughts. So when you just talked about falling into that crevasse, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it does, you could say, what's wrong with me? What's wrong right now? Why am I feeling this? And you can really beat yourself up a lot just trying to figure out why?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be a why. And if you're in that place right now, it's just just grab onto that little sliver of hope. Life can be better. I promise you, if you can just take that one little step, and it may be just Googling something or listening to a podcast, or because I know that when I was there, there was nothing that I loved to do that I wanted to do. It's I know what that feels like, just to be you feel suicidal. So, reach out to that one person, or even if it's the suicide hotline, a stranger, somebody, just get the help. I just think you are worthy, you are worth it, life is worth it, life can be fun, so just for us, the world needs you. You have special gifts that you only have. You are so special. And if you can just get out of that hole, you have so much to give to the world. You really do. And I didn't think that myself. And here I am. I'm doing so many great things. I love it. I love life now.
Yeah, it seems that way. It seems like you're exploring so many different interests and just kind of letting life flow through you. And also, like you said, you're a perfect example. I feel like everyone who goes through depression or intense anxiety feels kind of it's only happening. It can feel that way. It's only happening to me, or I'm so alone and everybody else is doing great. And I'm, no one would even understand type of thing. But it's also taking that larger and wider perspective, because I've suffered with anxiety for just all my life, and depression as well, off and on. But, just taking that kind of grander perspective and being wait, maybe I'm going through this, so that, because this is a part of my story. Like, you know, I really am a big believer that, you know, your triggers are your treasures. Like your pain, behind your pain is actually where like the treasure is. And when you can kind of, if you can see that and kind of lighten up a bit, or like you said, just grab onto the one thing that gives you hope and just kind of elevate a bit, it's like that's the story you're going to end up telling to other people, just like you did, you know, like this ended up being your treasure because now you get to tell that story to other people and people get to be like, wow, like she's doing so many things and she like was suicidal. That's, you know, like, wow, I would never know. So it's you to think like, because I also think that's and I'm interested in your perspective on this. I also think that's a part of depression, feeling like, well, if I was gone, like nothing, it wouldn't even matter. Like it wouldn't even matter if I was gone because like I feel so insignificant right now. And it's like, and you feel disconnected from other people because you feel like you don't have like you're not having like an influence on others. And it's like, if you can realize that like this thing is giving you that, almost that platform. It's like weird to think about, but it's like it's giving you it's giving you a story to tell others, and it's giving you a way to help others in the future when you come out of it. It's really interesting the way I just think like our biggest kind of like triggers and pains work like that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Okay. Speaking of the book, where can people get the book? If they want to get the book, can they still do that?
Yep. It's on Amazon. So it's, you know, you can get the soft cover or you can get on Kindle. It's available for free on Kindle Unlimited. And it's also an audiobook.
Oh, cool. Which you're narrating, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. You do have an awesome voice. It's
thanks.
Very soothing and yeah. I'm I love voiceover and I just think it's awesome. Do you record from your house or?
I do mostly, yeah, unless I get called out to a studio, but all the books I do from home.
That's cool. That's very cool.
I love it. Yeah.
So
creating a life of you know, like where I can be home.
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Oh yeah. It's great to be able to just, work from home. It's amazing and create. And how do you get the, like, how do the, do you have like an agent or how do the opportunities come to you?
Well, I started off on acx.com, which is owned by Amazon and Audible. And that's a platform that narrators can connect directly with authors. So they get to audition.
Cool.
And connect, and you can just do books that way. So I did a few books there, and then some publishers found me on there and started casting me for their books. And then I reached out to other publishers, publishing houses, and they put me on their roster. And now I just pretty much get cast and get products coming, you know, books coming to me pretty steadily. So
that's awesome.
I know, I love it. And that was like, you know, voiceover. That was just like, all right. I think I'm going to try to do this. You know, you just jump in, learn about it, try it, practice, do something. And then, you know, you just make things happen. And I think that's the important thing too, is like when you want something, learn about it, go do it. Don't be afraid to fail and try it out. See if it's good. If it is, that's good. If it isn't, move on.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
But very, very good advice. Absolutely. I think like honestly, for me, one of the biggest pains I've experienced in life is just not trying. Like you think that there's something in you that says it's going to be painful if you try and fail. But truly the biggest pain, or from my perspective, is when you just don't try, because you just sit there with this like desire that is unfulfilled and you have no idea, you know, if it will ever. So
yeah, make you crazy because you just think about it.
Yeah.
I should, or something, you know, not that we should do whatever, anything, but
you're being called. You're being called to do it.
Right. To at least try it. I mean, I spent a year and a half learning about the speaking business because I thought I had to speak about my book.
Yeah. But then
I did it. I had a nice gig at a college.
Oh,
and
nice.
the speech went well. I know that I helped a lot of people. People were very engaged. People bought my book. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, well, maybe my purpose was just to help a particular person in that during that speech.
Yeah.
Maybe that was all I was supposed to do.
Definitely.
Yeah. Or maybe it's prepared me for something that will happen in the future. I don't know.
Totally. And life is so beautiful in that way when you can just kind of be in that space like, okay, like this is what I'm feeling and I'm not feeling this anymore. And you can move more, you can be that cooperative component more, like just going with the ebbs and the flows of things. I think that is the key, like when people are happy, it feels like they've just kind of gotten into this state of being able to float, like where they're being drawn, without resistance.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, that's it too. When you're being called, just go.
Just go.
Just go open the door a little and, check it out. See who's there. And if you don't like it, shut the door again. At least open it up.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. It feels so much more simple that way. And it is simple. We make it so complicated.
Oh, we sure do.
Well, okay. So here's a question for you. What is one thing that you think would benefit every P head to know or understand as they continue on their own journey?
Well, I think it's going to go back to what I said before about understanding that you are here, you are worthy, the world needs you. The world especially needs P heads right now.
Yes.
Because people that are listening to this podcast are, I'm so sure, are so beautiful. I mean, you're my tribe. So we need a lot more love in the world. And if you can give that to yourself and forgive yourself and just be the wonderful P head out there in the world and, just do your best. Give yourself a break.
I love it. Beautiful advice. And it's so true. It's like we all, there's so much happening right now. There's so much opportunity to get in on this. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm really seeing the turnover. Like, I'm starting to see, like, it's getting to a point where now when I open open up Facebook, it's like, even just a few weeks ago, it was still, every time I opened it up, I was like, oh, there's so much like darkness and I just like can't deal. But it's like the past couple of weeks, it feels like something's happening because every time I open it up, it's like this amazing thing is happening and this positive change is happening. And people just invented this thing that's going to help the planet. And this is like getting passed and this record is being broken. And it's like, let's get in on this. Like, let's get like activated. Like now is the time. It seems like whatever you want to see can happen and people want it to happen. So yeah.
I definitely think, people are just waking up.
Yep.
Definitely. To goodness.
To goodness. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we love stories over here. And I wanted to ask you if you have any like fun or inspiring manifestation stories or stories of synchronicity that you'd like to share.
Yeah. So this one story, I haven't really told many people about it, but I think it's a great P-head story. When I was 12, my grandparents had basically broken up. So my grandmother we moved to Massachusetts. And that totally, I was 12 years old, which is a tough age.
Yeah.
And I lost all my friends. And now I'm living in a neighborhood. My sister had a bunch of friends, but she was older. And I felt super alone. I was super sad, and it was like my birthday and nobody was around, and I was just feeling so sad. And I had this music box that my aunt and uncle had given to me when I was much younger. They actually raised me for a couple years when I was like 2 and 3. So they were super special to me. And I had this music box that I loved. I had it, probably for 7 years by then. But the little key at the bottom that you would turn to make the music go on had disappeared. Had been gone for like years. And I just wanted to hear the music in that music box. Like that was the thing. I was like crying. I was in the house by myself and I was just going all around the house looking to figure out something so I could just at least turn that thing, but it's like this one little, it's got the hole and little tiny pin. Like nothing can grab it. You actually have to really have a key.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find needle nose pliers. I was messing around with whatever I could do. I was trying to figure it out. So then I just put the music box on my bed and went to go look for something else to try to make it work. And I was crying and I was just so sad. And I went back to the bed and I picked it up. And when I picked it up, there was a key on the bed.
What?
I know.
Where did it come from?
I don't know. It came from somebody who was loving me. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I know. But so that was like,
what did you?
Ever since then, I don't know. I turned it on and turned the music box on and I listened to it and I was just crying and I was like, my heart was just bursting. Like, I mean, I didn't freak out because I already knew that there was this other world and power and stuff like that that's around. But I knew it wasn't anything bad.
Wow.
This was about making me feel better. So I was like, all right, was that an angel? I don't know. I'm not super into angels or anything like that, but I was like, that was proof to me that there is a connection to something.
That is so cool. Because I love stories like that because it's not specifically that story. It's like it shows you there, because even, this group of people, like we know that like pea heads, we know, that like anything's possible, that like you can manifest things, but it's not very often that I feel like I hear stories about like something appeared out of thin air, like literally something appeared that wasn't there before. And it's when you hear these stories that you're like, it really shows you that like we are creating things, like that anything can happen, like truly like anything can happen if we believe, if we desire strong enough. And it's amazing. Actually, it's funny because it was like a week and a half ago, I was walking outside my building. I was walking my dog. And then I came back inside the building and on my keys, like it's funny because this is why it reminded me of it because we're talking about keys. On my keys, I have this like special key tag. It's like a hotel key tag that says 428 because it's my birthday. I got it at a vintage store, but it just means something to me. Like I really love it. And I just like, so I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I love my keys. So, I came back inside and then like I was inside for a little while and then I went to go do something and I went to grab my keys and suddenly my keys weren't in the same spot they always are. And I'm like, what? And I'm like looking through my pockets and they're not there. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I never lose my keys. And like, this seems so weird. Like, how did this happen? So then I was talking to my podcast co-host, Ambi, who I mentioned earlier. And I told you she's like highly clairvoyant. And I was like, can you help me out with something very trivial? I was like, I don't know where my keys are. And she's like, she's like, I think you dropped them. You pulled something out of your pocket. And I was like, yeah, I did today. I pulled out of my pocket my gloves, which I never pull out because it's not cold enough. But today it was cold enough. And I did pull my gloves out. She's like, yeah, they fell out when you pulled the gloves out. And they're somewhere around the building, like near this grate or something. She's like, but I think someone picked them up. And I was like, okay. So anyway, I went out and checked anyway. And she's like, she's like, just like accept that they're gone and they'll show up again. And I just thought to myself, like, okay. And the whole week, I just kind of was like, I didn't ask for new keys and I somehow got by without them. And I just kind of was like waiting for them to show up. And then I went finally a couple days ago, I went to the front desk and I was like, okay, I need a key. Like, so I asked them to give me one of our extra spare keys, which was like they had to go get it. And as soon as I asked them that, they're like, by the way, are these your keys? And they held up an envelope with my keys. And they're like, somebody said they found them like 3 or 4 blocks away, like in totally the opposite direction, somewhere I never walked. And they were like, and they knew to bring them here. And I'm like, how would that happen? How would they pick up my key and know to bring it to this building? Like it made, and why would they even be over? It made no sense to me, but it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, like, first of all, she was right. But second of all, it's like, I mean, it's not like it appearing out of thin air, but it kind of is. It's kind of like if you just want it bad enough and it means that much to you, like, you know, the universe will find a way, like they will reappear or something will appear. So I really like that story. And that's awesome. And that's such a sweet, also your story, just so sweet that like all you wanted was to hear that music and be comforted. And then the key showed up. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Joell, where can people get more info on you? Or do you have a website? Where do you want people to reach out if they feel like reaching out?
Yeah, I think my website is the easiest because then I have my social media there and that sort of thing. So it's joelljacob.com.
Perfect. Easy. What a name, too. Joell Jacob. Rings right off the tongue. It's perfect. Well, Joell, is there anything else you feel super called to share before we wrap up here?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot.
We did indeed. Well, I just want to thank you for taking the time to share. And it's so beautiful, you know, that this community just has so much wisdom and just wants to, you know, share their experiences because it really does help. It really does help everyone. It helps me just having these conversations. So thank you. And I wish you well.
Thank you. I wish you well as well.
Awesome. That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. Period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another P-Head Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.